You have found your way to the Book of Days Project. Welcome. Welcome to the Book of Days Project, where you can explore the historical nature of each and every calendar day, each and every day of this year. Today, January 7th, born Robert Nicole, poet, 1814, died Fenelon de la Motte, 1715. Alan Ramsay, the Scottish poet, died 1757. J.H. Frere, poet, 1816. Also died. Feast day of St. Lucian of Antioch, priest and martyr, martyred year 312. St. Lucian, whose name occurs in the calendar of the Church of England on the 8th of January, being the first Roman priest who occurs and is retained there, was a learned Syrian who busied himself in revising the Holy Scriptures. He was for a while disaffected to Orthodox doctrine, but afterwards conformed to it and finally died at Nicomedia after a long imprisonment. January 7th is St. Distaff's Day. It's the first free day after the 12 by which Christmas was formally celebrated. The 7th of January was a notable one among our ancestors. They jocularly called it St. Distaff's Dog, or Rock Dog, because by women the rock or distaff was then resumed or proposed to be so. The duty seems to have been considered a dubious one, and when it was complied with, the ploughmen, who on their part scarcely felt called upon on this day to resume work, made it their sport to set the flax a-burning. In requital of which prank, the maids soused the men from the water pails. Herrick gives this popular ritual of the day some of his cheerful stanzas as follows. St. Distaff's Day, or the morrow after 12th day. Partly work and partly play, you must on St. Distaff's Day. From the plough soon free your team, then came home and father them. If the maids a-spinning go, burn the flax and fire the tow. Bring in pails of water then, let the maids bewash the men. Give St. Distaff all the right, then bid Christmas sport good night. And next morrow every one to his own vocation. This mirthful observance recalls a time when spinning was the occupation of almost all women who had not anything else to do, or during the intervals of other and more serious work, a cheering resource to the solitary female in all ranks of life, and an enlivenment to every fireside scene. To spin, how essentially was the idea at one time associated with the female sex, even to that extent that in England, spinster was a recognized legal term for an unmarried woman. The spear side and the distaff side were legal terms to distinguish the inheritance of male from that of female children, and the distaff became a synonym for woman herself. Thus the French proverb was, "The crown of France never falls to the distaff." The distaff and spindle must, of course, have been coeval with the first efforts of our race to frame textures for the covering of their persons, for they are the very simplest arrangements for the formation of thread. The distaff whereon to hang the flax or tow, the spindle a loaded pin or stick whereby to effect the twisting, the one carried under the arm, the other dangling and turning in the fingers below, and forming an axis round which to wind parcels of the thread as soon as it was made. No wonder is it that Solomon should speak of woman as laying her hands to the distaff, that the implement is alluded to by Homer and Herodotus, and that one of the oldest of the mythological ideas of Greece represented the three fates as spinning the thread of human destiny. It is hard to say when the spinning wheel superseded the simpler process of the distaff and spindle. The wheel is stated in the Dictionnaire des Origines to have been invented by a citizen of Brunswick in 1533. 3 years before was printed the Dictionary of Pelsgrave, wherein we find the phrase, "I spin upon a rock," rendered "je file en l'eau." The change from the distaff and spindle to the spinning wheel appears to have been almost coincident with an alteration in or modification of our legal phraseology, and to have abrogated the use of the word spinster when applied to single women of a certain rank. Coke says, "Generosus and generosa are good additions, and if a gentlewoman be named spinster in any original writ, etc., appeal, or indictment, she may abate and quash the same, for she hath as good a right to that addition as baroness, viscountess, marchioness, comtesse, or duchess have to theirs." Chambers also remarks on the 7th of January of a sermon to the Jews. The 7th of January, 1615, Mr. John Evelyn was present at a peculiar ceremony which seems to have been of annual occurrence at Rome. It was a sermon preached to a compulsory congregation of Jews with a view to their conversion. Mr. Evelyn says, "They are constrained to sit till the hour is done, but it is with so much malice in their countenances, spitting, humming, coughing, and motion, that it is almost impossible that they should hear a word from the preacher." A conversion is very rare. Chambers grows and waxes philosophical about the fleetingness of time on the 7th of January. Connection of distant ages by the tribes of individuals. The shortness at once and speed of human life are brought strongly before our minds when we cast the simplest look back upon our own career, find ourselves grandfathers so long before what appears the proper time, and finally discover that we are about to leave the world with not half of our plans and wishes accomplished. The matter is also very pointedly illustrated by the great changes which everyone finds in the personnel of his surrounding world every 10 years or so. The boys become men, the little girls now reckoning each their 2 or 3 babies. The matronly hostesses who used to sit at the heads of hospitable tables now retired into quiet dowagerhood. The vigorous, mature men now becoming shaky and unfit for business. The old and venerable now to be found only in the churchyard. On the other hand, one sometimes gets an exhilaration as to human life and his own individual prospects by instances of lives at once remarkably protracted and attended by singular health and vigor. When life becomes in any instance protracted to a decidedly extraordinary extent, the individual necessarily feels himself amongst strangers, perhaps helplessly dependent on them. The voice of every youthful companion hushed, wife, perhaps even children, removed from his side, new things in which he has no part or vacation all around him. Then, indeed, it were better for him to follow those who have gone before. Yet, while the spectacle of such a superfluous relic of past ages gives us, of course, little pleasure in the contemplation, and can inspire us with no pleasant anticipations, it may become a matter of considerable interest to a mind which dwells upon time with a regard to either its historical or its sentimental relations. Just as Chambers did. Thank you for joining the Book of Day Projects. We will see you tomorrow, January the 8th. Bye-bye.